Alright, good morning. This is going to be a repeat, essentially, of the aperture assignment that we completed just over a week ago. We're going to use the same format for our shutter speed assignment, and I'm going to run through how you do that right now. So, again, I'm going to open up Photoshop. Give me a second for it to open. I'm going to go to File, New. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up my document to be 10 inches wide, 7 inches tall. I'm going to set it to a resolution of 300 pixels per inch, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to give it a name, shutter speed. Okay, now that we got that created, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, my fill color. Again, I don't really care what it is because it's going to be covered by an image sooner than later. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to create my first rectangle. This is going to be a placeholder for me. So I'm going to use my tool, my ruler here at the top. I'm going to just go ahead, I'm going to drag, and I'm going to create a 3-inch by 3-inch square. Okay, so I can line it up right there, 3 inches wide, 3 inches tall. I really want to make sure that this first one is perfect, because after that I'm just going to duplicate them. So when I'm happy with it, you can see I've created my first rectangle. And the reason I came up with 3 inches by 3 inches is because I created my document to be 10 inches wide, 7 inches tall. So that's going to give me enough space to have a little bit of a border around each, so I can add some text. Next, I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to push J. That's going to duplicate that layer, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to drag it over. And then I want to create like some sort of consistent movement between the two, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did that using my arrow on my keyboard. I'm going to duplicate that layer again by holding down Control and pushing J. I'm going to go over, set that so that it's lined up nicely. And I'm just going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and hold down Control. I can select each of my 3 layers, and now I have an opportunity to just set it so that it's about a ½ inch down, right, and about, let's say, 1/4 of an inch over. So that looks pretty good to me. And while everything's highlighted, I'm just going to go ahead and hold down Control and push J again, and I'm just going to push this down so that they're lined up right below. Now they're touching, and now I'm just going to use the same 10 strokes on my down arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I've got a nice layout right there, so I'm ready to go. Okay, so my next step is I need to add my images that I've taken into my Photoshop document. And so to do that, it's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to minimize my Photoshop screen. I'm going to slide it over here to my left. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to slide over here to my left. I've got my shutter speed folder right here, and inside my shutter speed folder, I've not only included the 6 photos I've taken, but I've also included the different shutter speeds that they were taken at. That's going to make my life a little bit easier as I place them. I'll show you why in a second. So, alright, now that you've gotten your 6 rectangles set up, now we're going to start, we want to import our images. Before we do that, we want to go for each layer, we want to right click, and we want to rasterize the layer. That's going to give us an opportunity to see and know right where each of the rectangles is placed so that we can set our images in the correct spot. So in my first image, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put it right in here. I'm going to move it up to where I want it to start, so I'm going to start up here in the left corner. I'm going to set each image vertically right upon itself. So most of your images are going to be, you're going to be making them smaller. Me, unfortunately, because these are small files, I'm making mine a little bit bigger. So I've placed it right here. I'm going to move it so it's above rectangle 1. Right click, and at this point I can just create a clipping mask. At this point I'm going to move the image over to the left so that it has the part of the image that I want to be seen by my audience, and that I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to grab my second image, which shows, again, the same subject. Shows the same subject, just at a different shutter speed. I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to get it just how I want it set. Notice I'm making it so that the height is exactly the same as the height of my rectangle. So I'm going to push place file. At that point I'm going to move it so that it's right above the correct, notice this is the square in the bottom left. And once it's there, all I have to do is create clipping mask. And now I'm going to slide this image over so it kind of mirrors the one above. You can see again it's the same subject. I'm just showing it at different shutter speeds. So one that freezes motion and one that blurs the motion. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to continue now. My next one, let's go with this right here. Shows a little bit of work being done in a metal shop. And again, like, not ideal that my images are small. That won't happen to you. So I'm having to blow mine up a little bit, which I'm not happy about. You'll be able to make yours smaller in those cases. So now again, top right or top center, so I'm just going to set it right above the top center. Right click, create clipping mask. And now this doesn't show what I need it to, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to slide it over. I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard. And I'm going to put it right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do one more. Let's drag this on. Again, this will be the same subject as the one right above it. Only again, I'm showing it at a different shutter speed. I'm going to place the image. I'm going to drop it down here in the right above the bottom center. Right click, create clipping mask. And then again, I'm going to slide this over to the left so that it really shows how my adjustment in shutter speed affects the image. Okay, I've got two more images to drop in here. Here's the first one. Just going to slide it up here. Actually enlarge this a little bit. Hold down shift. I'm making my image a little bit bigger. When I'm happy with how it's set, I'm going to hit place. I'm going to make sure that it's above the correct rectangle, so it's going to be set right there. Right click, create clipping mask, and again I just want to set it so that it's definitely showing the subject I want to be seen by my audience, in this case the waterfall. And one more to go. I'm going to drop this right in here. Again, hold down shift, make sure that it's the right height. When you're happy with that, go ahead and place it. Move that image all the way to the top in this case. And then right click, create clipping mask. And again, I'm just going to slide it over so it mirrors the one above. Right there, looks good. Okay, so alright, so now that I've got all my pictures set, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to incorporate some text. That's going to let me, give me like an opportunity to show what the shutter speed is for each of these, and I'm happy that I, in my folder, labeled each of them so that this is going to go very quick for me. So this one was at 1/160th. Oops. 1/160th. Maybe I'll actually put this down here. There we go. And I obviously need to change the color of this so that it'll show up. Maybe I'll, just for the sake of simplicity, make it red. And I'm just going to grab my move tool and I'm going to put it right here. since that's going to be the same, I want the same setup for each of my images. I'm just going to duplicate the layer. I did that by holding down Control J. And then I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to highlight each of these by holding down Control and push Control J again. I'll drag them down. That's about right. And then obviously I need to adjust the shutter speed, so I'm just going to quickly go back and forth. So for my second ocean picture, I didn't do a great job of making sure I knew which one was which, but here we go. Now I got this. And this one is actually going to be 4 seconds. This one right here. One 800. There we go. And this one. Sorry, this is taking a little bit longer than I expected. And we're going to just go back to my folder real quick. That's 1/8. Just want to make it look nice still. Let's see, that leaves us with, that's in the right spot, 2 more. So this one, right down here. Also going to be 1. Okay. So now I've got my text on there. I could go back and, like, it looks really good on this one. I like how the red looks, but I might have some problems with, like, it blending in here. So we could go back and fix that. That's, I'm going to let you do on your own time. I'm also going to go ahead, I'm going to go into a new fill layer. I'm going to hit a solid color. And I'm going to choose, pick a color that is going to work for me on this assignment. Maybe like a green. Make it a little bit. There, that looks good. Let's see how that looks. And I'll move that all the way down, close to my background layer. There we go. So now I've got a nice green background. I'll add one more layer. Let's add some text. And this one, I'm going to change my set. So there you go. That's your shutter speed assignment. You have one right on top of the other, showing like a faster shutter speed, which is going to capture like which is going to be freeze motion, and then you've also got your shutter speed that's a little bit slower, where it blurs the motion. And you can see that's true for each of these, how it freezes motion, right, the sparks coming off, and how it blurs that motion. And in the waterfall, it freezes the motion versus it shows movement, right? It blurs the motion, it shows movement in there. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned a lot about shutter speed, and I look forward to seeing your products. Thanks.